Hello, this is Graham, and this short video is about one of the most potent emotions that we can experience. It shapes the outcome of many of the most significant decisions that we take in life. It prevents many of us from achieving our potential, damages relationships, and it's a major contributor to depression and other mental health challenges. As therapists and counsellors, we study shame for two reasons. One, because of its importance to our clients, and two, because of its importance to us, to ourselves. If we can't recognise shame in ourselves and how it prevents us from being authentic in our lives, then we have little hope of helping our clients to understand how it's affecting them. So what is shame? There are two types of emotion that are widely recognised: the basic emotions and the social emotions. Basic emotions only involve an awareness of your own physiological responses to something. Examples include anger, happiness, sadness, and joy. Social emotions, on the other hand, depend on how we anticipate others will respond to us. Examples include embarrassment, guilt, empathy, and of course, shame. Social cognition is the ability to imagine other people's mental and emotional states. To develop a reliable set of social emotions is crucial to the development of social cognition in early adolescence. In 1872, Charles Darwin published a book on the expression of the emotions in man and animals. It was the result of more than 30 years of research, painstakingly observing the physical expression of emotions across an enormous range of animals, including man. His work was meticulous. It's never really been substantially improved upon, and it remains the definitive textbook for researchers of emotions. His list of the signs of shame were blushing, confusion, downcast eyes, a slumped posture, lowered head, vasodilation of the face and skin, and crying. Shame, then, is a form of self-punishment. It's a punishment for something that we acknowledge, in other words, something that our defences are no longer able to suppress, and so our conscious can no longer deny. It's a punishment for something that we did, which didn't live up to our own standards, either because it was bad or because it was inadequate. By experiencing shame, we're demonstrating contempt for ourself. This differentiates it from embarrassment, where it is not our contempt for ourself, but other people's contempt towards us that provokes us emotionally. Given the universal experience of shame and its extraordinary potential to inhibit us, why are we not all devoured by it? Firstly, we recognise a form of shame that is referred to as healthy shame. If the experience of an infant includes only fleeting glimpses of shame, then they develop a more healthy attitude towards it. They can then use it successfully to see when they have possibly hurt someone, and as they experiment with early relationships, they learn the means by which to make amends. Primary carers are never perfect, and it's when they have the occasional blip that these experiences can happen, even for an infant. Just to make the point, suppose the baby produces a particularly unpleasant poo. The parent, rather than concealing their queasiness, wrinkles their nose and adopts a tone of voice that conveys their displeasure. Fleetingly, the infant can feel shame at how it has hurt someone. The parent gets back in control of their emotions, and they smile or giggle at the child, which swiftly mirrors the positive behaviour, and so the moment passes. The child has learned a powerful lesson, and by around 2 to 3 years of age, it will have built a sophisticated, unconscious model of social emotions. As adults, we draw on our coping mechanisms or defences to keep our sense of shame within the unconscious. We can blame other people through projection. We can harm ourselves or diminish ourselves by going into psychological and sometimes even physical hiding. And we can avoid the source of the shame completely by avoiding fulfilling the needs that are associated with it. avoiding sex being an obvious example. Who knows for how long we will be able to keep this up? Sooner or later, in most of us, these ways of keeping our shame in the unconscious fail us, and then we experience the pain of shame. There are many different classifications of the sources of shame, but Burgo in 2018 suggested 4 most likely paradigms. They were unrequited love, the shame of having one's intimate desires spurned; unwanted exposure, that others will see us failing to live up to our perception of a social norm; disappointed expectation, when we're denied something that we feel we deserved; and exclusion, when we feel that other people are deliberately choosing not to involve us. Shame can be found behind many cases of depression. It was also identified by Cohut and Wolfe in 1978 as a core component of narcissism. There are 2 forms of narcissism. One, the extrovert form, is of the typical grandiose, self-centered, overly ambitious individual. The other is a shy, self-deprecating, covert type. The interpretation of both of these is that they are extreme responses to shame and ways of attempting to conceal our sense of overwhelming disappointment in ourself. Shame is behind many personality disorders. Sociopaths and compulsive liars, for example, are comfortable hurting other people, which they justify by projecting onto their victims the blame for their own failings. As they're rarely called out for this successfully, these behaviours become embedded in their personality. Shame is also widely recognised as being associated with certain diseases and life events, ones with which social stigmas or stereotypes are associated. The therapist working with clients experiencing shame may have to gradually prove their own capacity to contain the individual, allow them eventually to express their shame, and then help them to build and test out a safer and more effective set of coping mechanisms. Only once this is achieved can the shame be managed appropriately and the depression or whatever be lifted. So I hope that you can see that shame is an example of the social emotions, one that has benefits in limited quantities, but can cause untold pain and even lead to someone completing suicide. From your own experience, you'll be well aware of the kinds of things that can lead to shame. And I hope that you can see that working with someone experiencing shame is a delicate and often lengthy process. Thank you for listening. If you have any ideas for future videos or feedback about this one, please get in touch.